Hola, mi gente, ¿cómo estamos? This is Bessie, your host of the Everyday Jefa, just sharing inspirational and empowering stories of everyday women out there doing the thing, being the bosses, because we all know Jefa in Spanish. English version is boss. I am so excited that now, as we are rebranded into the Everyday Jefa, the guests that I will be having coming up, and the one including today, are just women that are just doing the thing out in our communities, that are just leading the way, paving the way, and also building the tables for the rest of us to come and join. So I'm going to present her as her official government name. But everybody else knows her as DJ KICKIT. Señorita, government name, go ahead. Because like I said, here in the Austin area, we know her as DJ KICKIT. But yes, please introduce us with your beautiful government name.
Sure. My name is Carla Rendon. You want me to give it to you the most Hispanic way? It's Carla Sofia Rendon Cabrera. So we have all the names. So
I know it's like a hyphenation with the hyphenation with the hyphenation.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Again, thank you so much for being here with me. I know this has been a project that has been long time coming. We talked about this last year when I was producing the annual event Latina Day ATX, on what my vision was to continue sharing the stories of the women that were part of the event, but also part of not just here in our community of the Austin area, but also just everywhere. We are, and I'm starting to learn there's a lot even more Latina women out overseas, that are taking corporate jobs out there, or their corporations are taking them out there, so tell the audience, because just in case you didn't know, we are also on their YouTube channel, so you'll be able to get to hear us and see us, whichever platform you choose to go to. So share a little bit about your story.
Yeah, definitely. Well, again, my name is Carla, also known as DJ KICKIT. I currently live in the Austin area, but I'm originally from Mexico. I'm from a place called Monterrey, and but I was raised in San Antonio, just right down next door. I'm a wife. Like I said, I'm a DJ. I also have a full-time career in tech, so I'm a senior product manager, one of the only Latinas in the company. Yeah. I'm also creative. I'm a remixer. I'm tapping into producing. And lastly, I am a dog mom. So.
Oh, yes. Yeah. If you're not following her and you start to follow after this episode, you have to watch out for her pup on the stories. Once in a while, we'll be sharing, our own versions of them not letting us work, or super needy. Like right before we jumped on this call, my dog was just crying, and I'm like, oh my God, not now. Like out of all days, today's not the day.
Yeah.
But no,
mine is pouting right now, just sitting there like, you're not listening to me.
Yes. No, I totally get it. The dog mom life is for real. But I also want people to also really dive more into, what it's also been for you to grow up as a female Latina DJ, and how, I know you now for a couple of years, a mutual friend of ours, Leslie, we were just talking about our friendship anniversary. I know there's like a shorter term to it. Like, I don't know what it's called.
Friendiversary, maybe?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Up because we started really getting to know more of each other last year during South by Southwest. And it's also, coming up and that sort of thing. So you and I probably about the same amount of time. I want to say about Valentine's, because Te Quiero Mucho, the domain was opening up around. And so I got, I've had the pleasure of getting to know you and really get to know you a lot more of how you've worked your way, and you build your way, and you build this now successful, in my eyes, I think,
Thank you.
Amazing career as a DJ here. So yes, please share with us, your upbringings, to really just what has led you to where you are now.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you for having me and allowing me to share my story. Like I said, I was born in Mexico, and typically when you're embedded in the Latino community, there's a lot of stereotypes, but there's also a lot of expectations. And it's something that I personally now am trying to untangle, is setting up boundaries, um, cultural boundaries, etc. But growing up, Latina is something I'm very proud of, but it also hasn't been easy. I myself have always looked back and said, man, my mom was not ready for me when she had me, because I am nothing like my cousins, or what is expected of me as a Mexican woman, right? You're expected to go to school, get married, have the kids, and then have the white picket fence and live the American dream. And I'm living my American dream, but it does not look like that. Growing up in San Antonio, I will say that I did encounter a lot of challenges, not only being a Latina, but also being a lesbian. And that's not only to include like around my peers, but even within my own family. One thing that I'm most proud of is the resiliency that I've built. As a woman DJ, you work with, in a male dominated space, you work with a lot of egos, a lot of machismo, a lot of mansplaining. As a lesbian, you do run into some discrimination where you don't look like a feminine girl. So nobody's going to want to look at you when you're DJing, or we're only going to put you in the gay spots. And it's like, well, I'm more than that, right? And then also being a Hispanic, a Mexican woman, a Mexican DJ that truly enjoys to blend hip hop, funk, and R&B into my mixes. And where I was before, I didn't get a lot of respect for the diversity in my mixes. You're Mexican. Why are you listening to hip hop music? You're not Black. Why do you always gravitate to this music? You're supposed to be listening to Los Tigres. You're supposed to be listening to Vicente. And it's like, well, hold on. A lot of the people that I would hear this from, they would be ones to listen to like country music, right? And I'm like, you're not white. So why do you listen to George Strait? Why do you listen to Justin Bieber? It's the same thing. Like music speaks to everybody, and hip hop, R&B, and of course Latin music. Like I could listen to Biggie and rap some Biggie lyrics just as much as I could sing a Vicente Fernandez song. Like that's who I am. Um, all the tattoos, everything that I am is just not what my mom, much less anybody in my family, envisioned. So it's something that I'm proud of. It's a theme that I always carry with myself, is unapologetically me. And having that resilience, that confidence, that strong mind that, I can do anything. Without making this answer so long, I know we're going to get into different topics, but my story is something that I'm very, very proud of. It's a lot of things that I've overcome to continue to give me the drive to be where I am today.
Yeah, and that's awesome. That's amazing because again, there's a lot of things that are rooted in us, and it's not gonna be taken from us. Our cultura is rooted in us, and it's not just like the conversation of do you speak Spanish or do you only speak English? But am I a Latina enough for being either or being both? I think it's now come to the conversation where we're really diving into, hey, it's not just this thing as you've always been told or you've always been seen as to be portrayed, even on screen or even on TV. There's so many more diversity within our own diversity, right? And then it comes now even down to just being a Latina woman in general, just breaking those barriers that we were always either so taught or always resembled for us to be. And I'm proud. I mean, I'm proud of the fact that you said, no, this isn't what feels right for me. And I'm willing to, but I'm pretty sure that also came with, like you said, a lot of challenges, but there had to have been something or somebody at some point that kind of said, like, Carla, you're doing amazing. I see because sometimes those things dim our lights. So what is it that has helped you maintain that just fierceness to push forward regardless of all of these things that you've had to encounter?
Yeah, it's a couple of things, right? So you're gonna laugh. So I used to be a boxer a long time ago. I boxed for about 15 years. And if it wasn't for boxing, I don't know where my confidence would have lied, because I experienced so many hardships in regards to bullying, not only from my peers in school, but even from my own family. And if it wasn't for boxing to give me that confidence, I like I said, I don't know where my confidence would be. But along the way, it was looking up to some of my biggest influences that were unapologetically them. One of them being Muhammad Ali, and I actually have him tattooed on my arm because I love what he stood for, not just in the ring, but all of the whole political movement that was going on around during his time. But then also just in the recent 8 years, I mentioned to you earlier, my wife has been such a rock for me. Every time that I don't feel like myself, I come back from a gig and I'm like, man, I feel like I could have done better. I go to her, I'm like, I suck, I'm a failure, da 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 da. And she hears me out and she has a way of making me think like, well, do you remember this time? And you used to sit there and you used to practice and practice. Not every time are you going to get it right. So it was looking up to some of the people that I was heavily influenced by, but then also having someone there that truly supports you, that listens to you, that motivates you, but then also is not a yes man. It's something I cannot stand. I cannot stand the yes people. And my wife will tell me, you know what, you could have done better. Think about this next time. Or, you know what, man, that was amazing, but don't get too cocky. Keep going and keep working at it. I remember this one time she came in and she was like, I started listening to so-and-so's mix. And I'm not going to name any names. I started listening to so-and-so's mix and I see that they're on YouTube and I see that they got it. I'm going to tell you right now, dang shit. Sorry. You could do so much better. You need to put yourself out there. And she'll come in strong with such motivation. And sometimes I'm like, I am doing everything that I can. So it's having someone there to motivate you, put you, listen to you, but also give you some of that tough love sometimes that you need.
Yeah, but I think her even allowing that space for you, because recent conversation we were having is that about our partners, that sometimes they're not as supportive as we want them to be, but because they can't identify with us, right? They don't see the things that we want to accomplish, and they don't see the things that we see and the potential that's out there either for ourselves or those around us. And sometimes that's okay, and I think it's beautiful that your wife is coming to you at not just saying, hey, I'm your supportive wife, but also coming to you saying, hey, I get it. I've seen your struggles. I see where you're trying to go. And I'm allowing that space for you, not just as your partner, but just as a human in general. And I think sometimes we're starting to be a little bit more aware of those that we surround ourselves with aren't typically the people that we hear that we should surround ourselves with. Did you ever have any like mentors or anything? Like it's not like you woke up one day and said, you know what? I want to be a DJ. I'm going to go and invest thousands of dollars.
I woke up like this.
And we're going to hope people get on the dance floor. So where did that come from? I know that you talked about, the music that influenced you and that you just so loved so much, aside from being what we typically grew up listening to. But again, where did that, we all have somebody who are like, man, you know what? I kind of like what they're doing. I wonder if.
Yeah. I will say that I've had an extensive background in music since I was like 5. I learned to play the recorder, which is like the basic flute that they give you like in kindergarten or something, right? But I've also played the violin. I played drums for about 10 years. And then I even dabbled in rapping when I was in high school. I recorded an album. Like I've just been embedded in music for so long. And I would look at some of the people that I admired. Like I fell in love with like Whitney Houston's voice, right? I fell in love with how Janet Jackson dances, and I fell in love with the boom bap and hip hop songs. So it's blending a little bit of everybody's confidence, their talents. It's like, man, I could probably do that one day. And I would just be there in my room pretending I was Janet and singing like Whitney, but also hardcore like Method Man. I would just lock myself in my room and do that, right? But as far as like mentorship, the way I picked up DJing, you could say I had some DJing tendencies maybe in college. Like I would create mixtapes and based on moods and what songs would sound better together. And then I also even had my own radio show at one point in college. So, I started dabbling into a little bit of that. But as far as mentorship goes, I put out a Craigslist ad back in 2011. And I had said, hey, I'm a female that wants to start getting into DJing and I'm looking for a mentor. And I was very lucky that I actually found an actual human, just with all the stuff that was going on back in the day
Yeah.
with Craigslist.
Yep.
So I was very lucky that someone actually emailed me and said, hey, my name is DJ Flip. I DJ at this bar. If you want to come check it out, whatever, cool, right? And him and I worked together for about 6 months, and he showed me not so much the basics because I knew how to count music, I knew about pitch, all that stuff. But he actually taught me more of the technicality stuff, like how do you turn on a speaker? What's the first thing you turn on? What's the last thing you turn off? People don't understand that. I can't just like unplug everything and leave the speakers on. These things could pop, right? So all these little different technicalities pretty much took me under his wing and showed me those things. Obviously we kind of drifted apart. He ended up moving to LA, I think, and I just kept it going. So shout out to YouTube. YouTube definitely has a lot of tutorials out there. I relied on that, and honestly, like I started looking into some of the DJs that I wanted to be like Kid Capri. I love his microphone skills. And if you know who Kid Capri is and you heard me on the mic, you can hear the influence. I love Funk Master Flex. Um, I can name a bunch of others, but it was taking a little bit of some of my favorite artists, some of the DJs, and then obviously having someone, fortunately, that was able to teach me the ropes on the technical piece of it.
Oh, well, that's awesome. Yeah, not knowing even just the technical things, I think from the outside perspective, especially for those of us that utilize these types of entertainers, we don't think about those things. Where for us, it's just about they come and I want them to play these kind of music, but we don't think about they have to look out for their own equipment and how that's going to be you set up. What would be, I guess, one thing from a consumer's perspective that you want to tell people when it comes to like either because one thing that I have learned by being around so many Latina DJs here in the area is that you all have different styles, obviously, like just like singers have different styles. You can sing the same song, but they'll put their spin to it. But there's also certain things that you all like to do differently. So what is that one thing that you have found that you like to do differently than probably some of the other DJs in the area?
I love to bring my personality to what I do. And the one thing I could always just tell a client is let me be me, but also keep me informed of what you want it to look like. I get so many inquiries of, hey, I want to do this party. How much do you charge? That is such a vague question. And innocently, people don't understand. But I need to know what kind of party, how many people are you expecting? What kind of party do you want? Because I might not be the one. You want to do an all country party? Sorry, this is not me. I will refer you to someone who loves country, who knows country in and out, just like someone could refer someone to me for the Latin music or the hip hop or the R&B music, whatever it is. Not everybody's for everybody. And I have learned that I am okay with that. But it's just allowing the DJ to do their thing, not being so dictative, because then you can't, I feel that one sometimes waters down their experience. You know what I mean? So it's like, just tell me what kind of vibe you're going for, who's all going to be there as far as like grandparents or people from this area. And I always try to ask a bunch of questions up front before I just sign a contract, because again, it's not only just about me feeling comfortable doing my thing, but it's also, I want it to be an awesome experience for my client. So I hope that kind of answers your question.
Yes, no. And the reason I was asking is because I know sometimes, again, we don't, as a consumer myself, those are things that you just don't think about, just like therapists, not just because you hear therapist, you automatically assume this person is going to like save my life.
To fix me. Yeah.
Exactly. But they also have their own techniques. There's also a certain thing. It's not just, hey, what's your hourly rate or how many times do we need to come see, so those are like basic things. But I think one of the things I really wanted to do, and I expressed this to you before we started our conversation, was that for the Everyday Jefa podcast was really just diving into those conversations as if, our listeners are sitting with us in real time, having a cup of coffee, or heck, even having a beer or a glass of wine, whatever your choice is. Drinking, we all do that at some point. But it's really diving into those conversations, getting to know and understanding wait a minute, these are, humans behind their bosses. They're out there doing the thing, building the tables, but we also want to really get to know them in the human sense as
Yeah.
to why they are, what makes them tick, and that sort of thing. And so these are the types of things that I like to learn as well as, for myself. But also I think that our audience, those that listen, are really going to be able to understand things a little bit different.
Yeah.
What is your go-to? And I know what your go-to is when you need to take a break, but tell tell everybody else, what is your go-to when you need to take a break, when you're out there in the field doing the thing and you're like, okay, Carla needs like time out, either to go to the ladies' room, to grab a drink. What is your go-to?
If you hear Suavemente by Elvis Presley, if you hear Elvis Suavemente, I am not in the booth. I went to the restroom real quick. It's either that or the extended version of La Vida es un Carnaval by Celia Cruz. I try to find songs that are at least 5 minutes long, and it's not because I take a long time in the restroom. Here's the thing that people don't understand. I was having this conversation with a guy DJ buddy of mine. He posted something that had to do with using the restroom and the line, how long the lines are at the clubs. And I said, man, try being a female DJ. He's like, what do you mean? And I said, look, go to the restroom. You see the shortest line for the guys, you see the longest line for the women. Dudes just go and then come back out. I can't do that because I have to wait for a whole line of women to be done. And women, unfortunately, have this habit of taking forever. And then when they're done washing their hands and doing their makeup, and I'm like, look, I just got to get in and get out because I'm about to get cussed out if the song is over and we hear dead air. So if there's anything else I could say to potential clients, can you please make sure there is one stall available for the DJs? I can just go do my thing and come back out. But again, if you hear Elvis Suavemente, I am more than likely not in the booth. I just went to go do my business, come right back.
And now, just for those that hear Elvis, but they're like Elvis, like no, Elvis Crespo.
Yes, Elvis Crespo.
Yes, Elvis does not have a Spanish song. Last time I checked.
Exactly. So if you hear Elvis Crespo, I went for a quick break and I'll be right back.
So who is somebody that you've looked up to? I can say that, I guess, when I was growing up, even though she, because again, like growing up, I think a lot of us referred to novelas, soap operas, as the people where we felt more connected to, watching Telemundo. But aside from that, it was very, very random, the few people that we saw that looked like us. So a lot of the times it was women like my mom, or my mom's friend that I would look up to, maybe even a teacher that was helping me. So who was somebody that you looked up to that was like, even as time has come, and if you even like lost touch with them, but you always, every time you have just that moment, you always remember them and you're like, you know what? Yes, no, I gotta get over myself. Like, just keep going.
Yeah, I will say that from my perspective, it was tough to find someone that looked like me, not just because I was a Latina, but because I was gay. Or I am gay, right? I still am. It was tough because I feel that I'm one of those that strongly believes that I was born this way. And so since I was young, like I knew I was a little bit different. So it was tough finding someone that looked like me on TV, because even back in the day, you couldn't find anyone that looked like me. And if they did, not to go off on a rant, but I've seen a documentary where a lot of people in the gay community back in the day weren't portrayed the best in Hollywood or on TV, right? Yeah. But I will say, just kind of reverting back to like Muhammad Ali, like I said, when I started boxing when I was about 14, I think, maybe 15. And that's where I was like, man, this guy is loud. He is Black. Everybody hates him. And he just went to jail because he didn't want to go to the military to go fight for his country, which was pretty much a way to like get him out of boxing because he was so successful. So I would really study not only his techniques in the ring so I can be better as a boxer, but really study like his mentality and his confidence. Fast forward to today, I can say that I really admire, those like Angie Martinez, because I love radio. I love music. I love what she's done for the culture. Also, Snow the Product.
She's
Snow
coming
the
to
Product.
town.
Man, yes, she is, and I will be there.
I wanted
Um,
to go, but my husband would not go with me. So I was like, okay, I guess I won't go.
buy one ticket and come kick it with us. It's gonna be
Yes.
me and my wife. Yeah, pull
Yes.
up.
Let's do it.
Yeah, but she's another one because I learned about her around back in 2015, 2016, and this was before she came out. And the things that she was rapping about, I was like, wow, this is dope. And when she came out, I was like, okay, now you really have my attention.
Yeah.
And ever since, like, I've just been watching her story, and I'm like, and I'm so proud of that.
Yeah.
That now there's people out there that look like me,
Mhm.
amongst many others, right? But growing up, I mean, I relied on athletes like Muhammad Ali,
Yeah. So what are the, I guess, current influential people? They don't necessarily have to be in your industry, but what are the people that, just the minute you think of them or you meet up with them, they just get your, creative juices flowing?
You're talking about like locally or just
In general. In
in
general.
general? Okay.
Yeah.
I love listening to Angie Martinez. I highly, highly respect what she's done for the culture, as far as being a radio influencer, being a Hall of Famer herself, and being a Latina in the hip hop space. I also enjoy listening to different podcasts, like for example, Amanda Seals, and how educational she is with what's going on in the Black community. And sometimes, not only is it just in the Black community, but I think it's also relatable even in the Latino community. Here locally, I love chatting with you. I love what you're doing for our culture, for our community here in Austin, and pushing our stories forward. Monica Maldonado is another one with Mas Cultura. I love her, personal friend of mine. TK is another one with her Free to Friday ATX markets, where she showcases intentionally BIPOC and queer vendors, and even artists and DJs like myself. And then obviously Gabby, what she's done with her marketing. I'm fortunate to call her a friend. She was one of the first people that I connected with here in Austin, and we hung out and talked nothing about business, just got to know each other. And learning her story was even more motivation. That's like, man, I'm an immigrant too. I come from an immigrant family also, and what she's done for herself, self-made, like I know I could do that. And so hanging out with very influential women like you guys, and then also just keeping that radar in like what else is happening outside of Austin, like Angie Martinez, like Snow the Product. It's just something that not only is influential but continues to drive me to keep doing what I do unapologetically.
Yeah, no. So what would be, I guess, one advice, or if you have more than one, that's cool. Something that you would tell somebody that's starting wanting to do this thing in this industry, especially as a female, because you've been there, done that, and you've noticed, the pushback. But I think we are now in a fortunate, we still have a long way to go, but I think where we currently sit, there is a little bit more flexibility to be able to be open. And I think actually even this city itself allows us, that flexibility. I've unfortunately never had the pleasure of meeting other DJs in other cities that I lived in to be able to say, oh yeah, like this city actually allows that too. It's always been just something different for me. But what is something that because I've told you I dabble here and there with my DJ, with my little like 2x4.
All right.
little mix, and I do it just for the sake of just breaking out of my routine of things. But seeing women like you all, it can get intimidating. Like, oh my gosh, like I'm just doing this for fun. And I know that you, along with other DJ friends of mine, have said, girl, just go for it. And if there's anything I can help you with, whatever, but there's a lot of women still out there that don't feel like they have that friend that they can come and say, hey, I want to do this thing. Will you teach me? Or, hey, I want to kind of see if this is something that's like, I can take full time. So what would your advice be, or what would you pep talk them?
Yeah. So I'm hearing two things, right? Number one is, how do you start to pick somebody's brain as far as like, this is something this is something that I want to do, but also surround yourself with people that motivate you and to support you to start doing what you're doing, right? And then the other half that I hear is, how do you start being a DJ? Right. So there's a couple of things, right? Number one, if you're looking for that community, for that support, go out to places that promote these type of things. So like going to your events, right? The Latina Day ATX, right? Going to, for example, some of the panel discussions that are happening around our community. I'm fortunate not only to be connected with you guys, but also I'm an Avance graduate. Not a lot of people know that. And so I'm deeply connected with what Avance is doing. Con Mi Madre is another one, Latinitas. And so these are organizations just like yours and many others that really promote not only the Latina story, but also the community of empowerment. And I think that it's so important for anyone, but especially a musician, a DJ in this industry, to have that type of support group, right? And that you can ask questions about, well, tell me about your story. How did you start doing this, right? To answer the other piece of it is, how do I get started in DJing? Is this something that I want to do? I always start with a much deeper question is, why do you want to do it? Right? Do you want to do it because it looks cool? Because, let's say if I'm talking to a guy, because you want to get all the girls. If it's a girl, you want to do it just because it's a fad. I can tell you right now, all that stuff's going to catch up to you. If you have a strong passion for music and making people have fun, that sounds very general, you're going to do it. And with today's world, there are so many YouTube tutorials that it's easy for one to be able to learn the basics. What worked for me though is coming to a new city, not knowing anybody, right? But I knew how to DJ, but not knowing anybody. What's worked for me is stepping out and going to places that I wanted to play at. I would look up events on Eventbrite. I would just look up Austin DJ and then start following different DJs and seeing what they're doing. And when I'm at the event, one is another piece of advice for the general public. DJs are not going to be able to have a full-blown conversation with you because we are working. Yeah, we are working. We're not just press the button when the song ends, press the other button. That's super easy. But some of us are really thinking like, okay, where else can I take this vibe? Oh crap, my microphone went out. Now I got to go fix that. Like there's so many things that are going on that sometimes we can't have conversations. But what's worked for me is going up to the DJ and say, hey man, I like your style. Cool. All right, awesome. Is it okay if I follow you on Instagram? Yeah. All right, awesome. I might send you a message maybe a few days from now. I just started here in Austin. I'm a DJ from San Antonio. I'd love to follow you, check out your stuff, and maybe ask you a few questions if that's okay. Some will say yes, some will be like, yeah, whatever. And you can go from there. But it's plugging yourself into two different spaces. It's one is following the DJs, learning about the event, also going into these places without having any expectations that, you know what, I am a DJ. I've been DJing for a long time. I'm going to get a gig here. How about you just go and enjoy yourself and listen to a vibe? Because I'm not for every single place and not every place is for me.
Yeah.
I'd love to be everywhere at once, but I can't.
Yeah.
And so you sit there and you're like, wow, I really love what Bessie's doing. I love this Latina Day thing. I'm learning so much from it. Oh, there's the DJ. Man, I'm going to go pick her brain and talk to her and see what it's like, and continue supporting and going to these places and showing your face, because personality and genuineness goes a long way.
Yeah, intention. People can smell that a mile away these days.
Man, listen, I have been told, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I've had the ability to work with so many talented musicians and their attitude is just not there. You know what I mean? They're not the best to work with, or sometimes they get anxious themselves. And then if I'm anxious and you're anxious, how are we going to make this a fun experience for both of us, right? And so I've talked to different people that I've worked with, and they're like, you're so easy to work with. You're very easygoing. You're very personable. And it's like, why wouldn't I be? Like I know where I come from, and I always carry that humbleness with me. I also know what I bring to the table, but that can't always be at the forefront of what I do. I have to get my ego in check, and I'm there to enjoy the moment and be there for my client, my partner, my friend, whoever,
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I at the beginning said, the podcast is jefa, which means, in Spanish. But what does jefa mean to you? What does being jefa mean to you? Because I was wearing my jefa necklace yesterday, and it always cracks me up, especially if you're not of Latin descent, on how you read that necklace.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna crack somebody else because somebody's probably heard the word in a different analogy.
Yeah.
But again, what is when you hear the word jefa, what is it that comes to mind?
Yeah, I think it's easy for one to translate that into that boss mentality. Well, you don't have employees, it's just you. Like, you're not really a boss of anything. But no, like, you're really a boss of your own destiny. There's so many stories that I obviously we don't have the time for that, things that I've overcome, and to build that resiliency and kind of block out all the noise and the opinions and just focus on what you want to do and be unapologetic about it. That's building barriers, like, you know, cultural barriers, right? Racial barriers, all that stuff that one has encountered, like myself, especially in a male dominated space. You take what you learn from that and you just keep going. And I think for me, a jefa, yes, you carry some of those boss-like characteristics where you're a leader, but this time you're a leader for yourself, right? What do you need to tell yourself to motivate yourself to keep going? And being a jefa as opposed to a female boss is something very special, because us Latinas, we go through a lot of things that some bosses may not go to, that may not experience. You know what I mean? I can step outside and I could talk to, let's say, my brother, and it's like, do you know what it's like to be a female? Do you ever think about what's over here, what's over there? No. If I see, like, let's say, a straight couple and we have a conversation, like, I can't just always be myself with my wife, because you never know who's out there, right? And so it's all that resiliency that you build along the way, that makes not only a jefa, but a jefa being unapologetic about being in charge of your own destiny and wearing your culture and your heritage, being proud of it.
That's awesome. That's beautiful. I love the way that you describe that because again, the natural translation is boss.
Mhm.
But I think it's also we haven't utilized that word enough,
Yeah.
for full transparency of the mindset of the action or the word. And so I love that because we've heard for so many years, boss babe, female,
Mhm.
and that sounds cutesy, at least at the time, but you never really felt like what that struggle, or if there was even one behind those, type
Yeah.
descriptions. And I think the word jefa just bringing that out to in a different light, and what it means to you, it's just amazing. It's just amazing.
I think it's also a feeling. It's a feeling of confidence. It's a feeling of confidence that, with everything that I've experienced, I am confident in my abilities to overcome whatever obstacle barrier. Sounds very cliche, but it is the truth.
Yeah.
When you, like myself, I've worked in spaces where I'm not comfortable, and not because it's a dangerous or anything, it's just something that's unknown to me. But I have to remind myself, all right, get it together. You've gone through these things, you got this. And
Mhm.
it's taking one step at a time. But I also think it's a feeling, not just, oh, I'm a boss babe. No, it's a feeling that you truly embody.
Yeah. And you also work in the tech world. I mean, we've only tapped into speaking about you as a DJ and musician, but you're also being a jefa in the tech industry.
Mhm.
And so, like, even that, I'm sure, came with its own set of laundry list of barriers. And
Oh yeah.
you are you for your first gen graduate, correct?
Mhm. Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
and on top of that, everything that came for you to even get to that point. I mean, again,
Yeah.
we could have these conversations of all these like different layers of the onion, on what kind of jefa in you've become and you are moving forward to. So tell either the viewers or the listeners, what is one thing that you want them to take away from your story? Because we'll have conversations and we're like, man, I heard her say this and that was awesome and da, da, da. But almost in a nutshell, what is one,
Mhm.
if you had 15, 30 seconds to tell somebody a rendition of who Carla Rendon is or DJ
Mhm.
what
Yeah.
that you want them to walk away with?
Man, be unapologetically you. and be
Mhm.
proud. Be
Mhm.
proud. I have heard it from family. I've heard it from peers. I've heard it from men. I've heard it from everybody of what I can't do because they're not used to that. How do you have a bunch of tattoos and you're a woman, and how are you ever going to get married, and how are you going to find a man? All the way down to my writing. My teachers, I have a graffiti style writing. That's just how I write. And I had a teacher tell me, you're never going to get a job writing like that. And now look, I am in tech where I don't even write. I I write for my own, for my journal, but you know what I'm saying? So be unapologetically you. Give yourself grace and the space to be you, to learn yourself, to make mistakes. You know what I mean? And learn from them. And don't listen to others, but watch what they do. And I
Mhm.
say that because people are always going to give you their opinions, whether you're a DJ, whether you don't DJ, everybody's going to have their 2 cents about what you're doing, what you want to do. They're going to have a lot of doubts, but don't listen to them, but watch what they do because they're going to be the same ones that are in your ear. Hey, how did you do that? Oh man, I didn't think you had it in you. Let me borrow a little bit of this, or let me do this with you. Da, 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 da. Now they want to start coming around.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? But the number one thing, be unapologetically you, is something I stand by 100%. And the people that are meant to be in your life, the people that you are meant to connect with, they're gonna come. And the people that no longer serve you or your purpose, they're gonna go away.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. They eliminate themselves, thankfully.
Yeah.
There was a video that I saw with what's his name, Tyler Perry, and he said,
Mm-hmm.
oh, friendships or relationships are like booster rockets. Once the rocket goes up, those boosters have to fall. Well, there's going to be people that
Yeah.
when you're hitting a certain elevation, they'll no
Mm-hmm.
longer be able to be part of that elevation because you're going where they don't belong.
Yeah.
Um, and so I
Yeah.
think that's exactly it. And it's okay. Like you said, it's okay
Yeah.
to not be for everybody. It's okay for uh those people not to be for you, and that
Mm-hmm.
whoever needs to be in your life is going to be there.
If I can add something, that includes family.
Yeah.
Because as a Latina, and you know this very well, there's so many expectations put on Latinas as opposed to Latinos. I
Yeah.
see that myself with my brother versus myself. There are so many expectations put on me as a woman versus my brother. Oh, just leave your brother alone, da da da. But I need you to do this. I need you to be there for me. I need you to take care of me when I get old. I
Yeah.
need you to do these things. And again, it's like, this doesn't serve me right now. I'm focusing on me and being okay that you're gonna lose some people. It's a tough pill to swallow. I lost a best friend of mine that I had known for 10 years, and we just that was it.
Mhm.
And being okay with that because no one's gonna do for you like you're gonna do for you.
Oh yeah, nobody knows you better. Nobody
Hmm.
better understanding of you than you.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. That's amazing. Um, what do you have coming up? What's going on? Like, tell me all the things. What do you have coming on? What are you manifesting for this year? What
Yeah.
projects? Where can people find you? All the goods.
Absolutely. So right now I'm still working on my schedule for South by Southwest. One thing that last year that I experienced, it was my very first South by Southwest. And so I was actually able to go because of work, go to the sessions. But then right after, I had to go DJ. And if you're in Austin during South by Southwest, downtown is a mess. So I'm working with my South by Southwest lineup, but also giving myself, again, this is the boundaries, also giving myself some days off where I can just be present
Yeah.
in the experiences at South by, right? And really get something out of it because my boss will ask for a report when I get back. So I can't just be out DJing and then not come back with anything, right? So working on that right now. I am also trying to lock in and bringing back our R&B pool parties. So I am one of 3 members of our Rock the Boat R&B parties. And so what we've done for the past 2 years is we've had pool parties. So I'm working on getting those locked in, possibly a part 2 remix album. I have one out already on Bandcamp and on SoundCloud. So I'm possibly working on some additional remixes for a part 2 album. Obviously creating more content. Podcasts might be coming soon. And then more interviews. Like like with you. You know, I'm very fortunate that with what I've done, people want to hear my story, and I'm happy to share it. So more interviews are lined up. So those are some of the things I'm working on. Also still selling my merch. Staying busy. Yeah.
Yes. No, and that's what it's all about. The Hefa, you're embodying honestly the Hefa to, I'd say, to the fullest extent. But I know for you, you're like, I still got more to do. I still want more
Man,
things to accomplish and stuff like
yes.
that. But if there's one thing that I can probably tell the viewers or the listeners is that what you hear, what you see is exactly how it is in real life. I can definitely vouch for that.
Yeah.
Ever have the opportunity here in the Austin area, I do always tell Carla that I always foresee her not staying in this area. She's going to start doing cold tours. We're putting it out in the universe that Beyonce will be that person.
Oh my God. I will die. I will die.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna look at her and be like, "Te dije, te dije."
Yeah. Yeah. You know, real quick about that, my wife and I were having a conversation recently, and we bought this book. I'd recommend y'all getting it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'd be happy to send you an image or a link of it. But we found this on at Target. Actually, I found it. I'm gonna give myself a point for that one. My wife is always right, and when I do something right, I'm like, no, I'm holding on to that point. But I found this book, and it's 3,000 questions, like icebreaker questions, and her and I try to go through one page of questions a week. And it's interesting how we get to know each other a little bit more. But one of the questions was, who would you like to meet that is famous and why? And I had always said, you know, Muhammad Ali, right? But also Jay-Z and Beyonce. And it's not just because, oh my God, like I'm a huge fan of theirs, but Jay-Z, like I would love to pick his brain on business, right? Like some of the business moves that he's made and why. But Beyonce is being such a mega superstar. How do you block out the noise? Because sometimes you run into the imposter syndrome, right? Or you always feel like you're not doing enough. And then you also have to stay on top of the trends on TikTok. So social media is an easy way to get sucked into that bubble of I'm not doing enough. So that would be an interesting conversation I'd love to have with Beyonce. Speaking of Beyonce, is like, how do you do that? And then you're a mom, like, what the hell? So yeah, that would be someone to be cool to sit with. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to happen. It may not be when you want it to happen, and then it may not be how you want it to
In the
happen.
next 5 minutes.
I see. Okay. Yeah,
I'm kidding.
Did you put something in your coffee that I didn't put in mine today, or
I
what?
actually have not had coffee. I went to work out and I have not had coffee. So after this, I will absolutely have me some coffee. Yeah.
Well, congratulations again on your fitness
Thank
journey.
you.
I know
Oh,
we
thank
didn't
you.
talk much about your fitness journey.
Yeah.
I definitely, I mean, follow her, DJ KICKIT. Her stories are always really giving you a lot of insight. She's definitely not one person that is going to just show you the glam life of being a DJ. She's going to be raw, true, and honest with you in every aspect. So please follow her. Get to know more about her. Send her a question. I'm pretty sure after this, she'll be like, Bessie, what have you done? You told everybody to send me a message, and now I
Oh,
can't keep
no.
up with them.
All good. I love a good conversation. I'm an open book. Hit me
Yeah,
up.
that
Instagram,
this
DJ
whole
KICKIT 17.
gatekeeping thing is no
Yeah.
longer. It's just an annoying word at this point, I think.
Yeah.
But no, follow her. Thank you again, Carla, for being part of this. I know, like I said, this is something that we've been trying to put in the works for a while, but again, it had to be with intention.
Yeah.
I think it's all lining up. I think this is the year for everybody. We're coming out of a lot of things, a lot of years of just repression on creativity, on wanting to tell our stories and still not being able to make those honest connections. And I think even through video, we can still make those connections. And now you can really, really get the sense of people, how genuine people are, and how much people really crave to hear inspiration and empowering stories. And yours is definitely one of those. So thank you for being part of this.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Again,
Thank you.
everybody, this DJ KICKIT over here. Make sure you're following her. Your what? Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. Definitely, I am at DJ KICKIT 17. DJ KICKIT, the number 1, the number 7. Follow me. I post everything, not only just where I'm going to be, I post links to my mixes, and obviously just some funny personal stuff. Like me and my wife are big goofballs. Obviously, my dog, Sochi, she is crazy. So follow me there. If you want to learn more about my work, if you actually want to book me, visit me on my website. It's djkickit.com. And on my website, not only can you find some of my work, where I'm going to be, inquire about booking me, but you can also listen to some of the mixes that I have on my website. And if you want more mixes, I got plenty to keep you busy, especially during the Saturday Limpia days. So hit me up.
Well, perfect. And again, as we always say, here at the Everyday Have a Podcast, our mission is to share inspiration, share empowerment. We are literally just everyday women just out there trying to do the thing, making boss moves, but also looking to see how we can bring everybody up with us, because when one wins, we all win. So again,
absolutely.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
For us here on either YouTube, if you're watching, or any of our podcast platforms. There's about 5 of them. So head on over to our website, theeverydayjefa.com, and we will see you on the next episode.